She trusted her husband with her family's entire restaurant empire, never knowing he forged her mother's will, poisoned her reputation behind her back, and planned to replace her with her own cousin, until she discovered the truth first and destroyed his entire world in one unforgettable night. Hi, my beautiful family. Today my heart lifts every woman who has ever loved honestly, even when the people she trusted hid daggers behind their smiles. May your intuition sharpen like a blade. May your spirit be protected even when your eyes cannot see the danger. And may no enemy disguised as a lover ever steal what God placed in your hands. Because sometimes the person clapping the loudest for you is clapping because they think they're close to winning. And in this story, this unforgettable story, a woman named Naomi learns exactly how deep betrayal can cut, and how powerful a woman becomes when she decides she's done being deceived. Before we begin, let me ask you something. If you found out someone you loved was quietly plotting to take everything you built, what would be the first move you'd make? Tell me in the comments section below. I read every single one. Now breathe deeply and subscribe to this YouTube channel, as what you are about to witness will shake you. Don't blink. During this story, Naomi Rivera believed in two things: family and food. She had inherited the Rivera legacy. La Palmera, a three-generation restaurant beloved by critics, locals, and tourists alike. When people spoke of it, they didn't say the restaurant, they said the Riveras. It was that sacred. When Naomi met Devin Hayes, she thought fate had delivered her a partner who honored what she valued. He was charming in a way that didn't feel forced. He laughed with her mother, played dominoes with her brothers, learned recipes from her aunties. Everyone loved him. And in the beginning, Naomi loved him too, with a soft, trusting heart her mother always warned was both her power and her weakness. During the first 3 years of their marriage, Devin never raised his voice, never pushed boundaries, never demanded control. He supported Naomi's leadership of La Palmera publicly, attended every event with pride, and even turned down a lucrative job in corporate marketing so he could support the family business. Naomi thought she had married a humble, honorable man. But humility is easy when you're positioning yourself for a takeover. Her mother's sudden stroke changed everything. Naomi stepped back for 4 months to care for her, and Devin stepped in. Too smoothly, too confidently, too willingly. By the time Naomi returned, staff deferred to him. Investment partners spoke to him first. Her cousin, Lila, was constantly by his side, helping him organize the finances or digitize old records. It looked innocent, helpful, loving. But love doesn't hide whispers. Love doesn't avoid eye contact. Love doesn't pull documents away when you reach toward them. Something was wrong. But Naomi couldn't name it. Not yet. Then one night, exhausted from the hospital, Naomi walked through the door and heard Devin inside his office, speaking urgently on speakerphone. Once Naomi steps down, the whole thing is ours. Just trust me, Lila. She's distracted with her mother. She won't see anything coming. Her blood froze. Her cousin's voice, her cousin, responded nervously. And after it transfers, we'll share it? Right. Of course, Devin replied. We're a team. Naomi felt the floor fall out beneath her. Her legs trembled. Her breath stuttered. She backed away quietly, heart pounding so hard she swore they'd hear it. She wanted to scream, confront them, collapse, but instinct told her to be still. The truth had revealed itself, but her enemies didn't know she'd heard. Sometimes survival begins with silence. The next morning, Devin kissed her forehead with the same lips that had promised Lila a future. He made her coffee, asked about her mother, held her hand like he hadn't vowed to steal her legacy hours earlier. His kindness now felt like poison. Every gesture carefully calculated. Every smile sharpened with deception. She went to the restaurant that afternoon, desperate to see things clearly instead of through the fog of heartbreak. Walking through La Palmera was like walking into a stranger's home. People were warm toward her. Yes, but their routines orbited Devin now. Devin already approved this. Oh, Devin said we're updating the menu. Devin told us you'd be focused on family right now. Her position had quietly been replaced, and when she entered her mother's old office, She found exactly what she expected. Devin standing behind the desk as if it were his. Lila sitting beside him, red-faced, hiding documents under her arms. Both of them jolted when she walked in. Both of them plastered smiles on too quickly. Devin touched her back. Warm. Familiar. But her body recoiled internally. You look tired, baby. Go home. I've got everything under control. Everything. He meant the staff, the finances, the investors, the documents, the legacy, her family, her life. She pretended to smile, pretended to breathe, pretended not to see the truth dripping from both of them like oil. Hours later, she cornered Lila alone. The young woman was shaking, couldn't look Naomi in the eye, clutched a folder so tightly her knuckles whitened. Lila, Naomi whispered. What are you doing? Lila's lips parted. Guilt flooded her eyes. Fear shook her shoulders. But then Devin's voice came from the hallway. Lila, I need that folder. And just like that, Lila bolted, running from Naomi, running toward the man who taught her betrayal. That night, Naomi returned home early and waited in the dark. A weight pressed on her chest so hard she felt she might break. At 9:47 p.m., the door opened. Devin walked in humming, like he hadn't destroyed her world. He took out his phone. Yes, Lila, he said softly. She suspects nothing. Naomi covered her mouth. Tears burned her eyes. Her lungs felt tight. We'll finish scanning the financials tonight. Then we finalize the will addendum. Once Mariana passes, everything transfers smoothly. Her mother wasn't gone. And he was already preparing for her death. Naomi swallowed bile. Naomi's the last obstacle, he added. She's distracted, emotional. Perfect timing. Tears spilled down her cheeks. But beneath the heartbreak, something else rose. Fire. Resolve. A kind of strength women only discover when pushed to the edge. She wiped her face, stood up silently, and made a decision. If Devin wanted a war, he'd chosen the wrong woman to betray. The next morning, Naomi went to her brother Matteo, cybersecurity expert, quiet genius, loyal to the bone. She told him everything. His jaw clenched. His nostrils flared. His hand shook. He's dead, Matteo whispered. But Naomi grabbed his arm. No. He wants to ruin this family. We'll ruin him first. Matteo created a digital trap, a fake financial folder that recorded every keystroke, every login, every altered document Devin touched. Naomi planted it on the shared office computer, labeled it Archive Old Accounts. Then she waited. Devin fell for it the same day. Then again the next. And the next. Every signature he forged. Every altered document. Every illegal access. Captured. Time-stamped. Identified. And while Naomi gathered evidence, Devin ramped up his plot. He sent investors emails claiming Naomi was unstable. He held closed-door meetings with advisors. He invited the board to a surprise leadership transition announcement gala. He told the staff Naomi was overwhelmed and stepping down. He was building his stage, preparing his coronation, confident he'd already won. He had no idea Naomi had seen the script and rewritten the ending. She pulled hotel footage of Devin and Lila, financial records of unauthorized transfers, screenshots of the forged will draft, and she prepared a presentation, one the entire world would see. The night of the gala, Naomi entered late, wearing a black dress that made her look like a warning. Heads turned. Whispers rose. Devin froze mid-speech. He had been telling the audience Naomi was stepping down due to emotional strain. But Naomi walked onto the stage. No smile. No apology. Only truth. Her voice didn't shake once. I am not stepping down. But someone else is. She lifted the remote. Behind her, the massive LED screen flickered and displayed Devin and Lila's recorded conversation. Clear. Unedited. Damning. Gasps erupted. Investors stood up. Cameras shot out like fireworks. Devin's face went white. Lila cried. Naomi didn't blink. She pressed another button. On screen, forged financials, fake signatures, emails slandering her. Every crime, every lie, every betrayal. Then she delivered the final cut. Devin Hayes has been removed from all leadership roles. Effective immediately. She tapped one more slide, her trump card. I purchased his shares last week through a third-party corporation. I now own 100% of La Palmera. Chaos. Shock. Silence. Devin stuttered something incoherent. Security escorted him out. Lila fled the room in tears. Naomi stood still as the truth settled over the crowd like smoke. Not broken. Not defeated. Reborn. The next morning, she visited her mother in the hospital. Held her hand. Pressed her forehead to hers. "Mom," she whispered, voice trembling. "I protected what you built. No one will ever steal our legacy again." Her mother, weak but aware, squeezed her hand. A tear rolled down her cheek. Pride. Relief. Love. Naomi left the hospital feeling lighter, stronger, whole. The war was over. And she had won. Security dragged Devin out of the gala hall while cameras flashed like lightning. His voice cracked, half rage, half panic, as he shouted Naomi's name like she was the traitor, not him. "Naomi. Listen. This is insane. You're overreacting. This is all a misunderstanding." People in the audience recoiled. Some whispered. Some looked disgusted. Most simply stared, stunned to learn the golden boy of La Palmera was a fraud wearing a gentleman's smile. Naomi didn't respond. Didn't look at him. Didn't honor his lies with a single blink. His downfall was no longer her burden. His destruction was of his own creation. As the ballroom doors shut behind him, the entire room sank into a tense silence, like everyone was waiting for Naomi to break down, scream, cry, collapse. But she didn't. Not now. Not in front of him. Not after what he'd done. Instead, she inhaled deeply, lifted her chin, and thanked the room with quiet dignity. "Thank you for your patience tonight," she said calmly. "For believing in our family, our legacy, our truth." Applause rose, slow at first, then swelling into a wave that echoed across the room. It was the sound of respect, belief, vindication. It was a sound Naomi had waited years to hear without knowing she needed it. The next morning, Devin's name hit every local food blog, business column, and gossip site. Restaurant executive exposed for fraud. Family business nearly stolen by son-in-law. Betrayal at La Palmera Gala. His reputation burned overnight. He tried calling Naomi, texting, emailing, leaving voicemails, sending flowers, even showing up at her mother's hospital room. She blocked him. Her brothers escorted him out. Hospital security warned him. And Naomi never heard his voice again. Devin moved out of their home 2 days later with nothing but a suitcase. Even that felt too generous. He had no job, no influence, no allies, no sympathy. His friends at the restaurant stopped responding. Investors cut ties. His own parents, embarrassed and furious, refused to pay his legal fees. Everyone who once adored him scattered like roaches in bright light. No one stands beside a man once the mask falls off. Lila's fate came next. She didn't return to the restaurant after the gala. Didn't respond to Naomi's messages. Didn't show her face in their neighborhood. But she did show up at Naomi's home 3 days after the explosion. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her mouth trembled. Her hands shook uncontrollably. "Aunt Mariana loved you like a daughter," Naomi told her quietly. "And you betrayed her. Betrayed me. Betrayed everything this family stands for." Lila broke down in sobs. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Devin said he loved me. He said we'd run the restaurant together. He said. He lied to you," Naomi said softly, but not gently. "You let him. You let him use you to stab your own blood in the back." Lila collapsed to her knees. Please. Please forgive me. Naomi stared down at her cousin. Forgiveness was a strange thing. People assumed it was about letting someone off the hook. But her mother always taught her forgiveness was about releasing the weight someone put on you, so you didn't carry their poison. Naomi took a slow breath. I forgive you, she said. Lila looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. But Naomi continued. Forgiveness doesn't mean welcome. It doesn't mean trust. And it doesn't mean forgetting. Lila's face crumpled. You can get up now, Naomi added gently. And you can rebuild your life. But not here. Never here. It was the last time they ever spoke. 2 weeks after the gala, Naomi stood outside her mother's hospital room, holding a folder of finalized documents. Devon's removal. Her ownership confirmation. A restructuring plan that would carry the restaurant into the future without any shadow of betrayal. She entered quietly. Her mother stirred, weak but awake. My daughter, Mariana whispered, voice thin but warm. You look lighter. Naomi sat beside her and leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. I fought for us, she murmured. And we won. A soft tear rolled down Mariana's cheek. I knew you would, she whispered. You are stronger than you think, Naomi. Naomi closed her eyes. Let the warmth sink in. Let the safety return. Let her mother's words heal some of the wounds she'd forced to stay open for weeks. They talked for an hour. Not about Devon. Not about Lila. Not about betrayal. But about recipes. The future expansion Naomi could make now. What legacy truly meant. What strength looked like in a woman who had been broken, but refused to stay down. Before leaving, Naomi kissed her mother's forehead. I'll protect this family, she promised softly. I'll protect everything you built. Her mother smiled. I know. Because the heart of La Palmera beats in you. The next few months transformed the restaurant. Naomi renovated the courtyard. Updated the menu but kept the classics. Modernized the reservation system. Promoted loyal staff who had stuck by her family for years. Customers returned in waves, supportive, excited, eager to see Naomi's leadership shine without Devon casting shadows. La Palmera's sales soared. Press coverage exploded. The Rivera legacy thrived. And Naomi? She finally slept at night. Not lightly. Not guarded. Not waiting for the next betrayal. She slept deeply, safe in the knowledge that she had protected her inheritance, her family, her dignity, and her heart. As for Devon, his story traveled in the opposite direction. Rumors followed him everywhere he went. Restaurants refused to hire him. Investors laughed at him. His affair with Lila ended immediately. Once the spotlight burned too hot. He was seen bartending at a dive bar on the outskirts of town, head down, eyes tired, clothes wrinkled, ego shattered. Sometimes he'd mutter Naomi's name. Sometimes he'd tell strangers she set him up. Sometimes he'd cry quietly to himself, wondering how he ended up here. But that wasn't Naomi's concern anymore. She never looked back. And she never regretted burning the bridge to a man who tried to burn her entire life to the ground. 6 months passed. 6 months since Devon's public collapse. 6 months since the gala that changed everything. 6 months since Naomi reclaimed the Rivera legacy and restored the honor of La Palmera. In that time, Naomi had become something she never expected, a force. A woman who carried the weight of her lineage with grace and the strength of every Rivera woman before her. She stood taller now. Not physically, her height was the same, but spiritually, emotionally, she felt like she'd grown an entire story taller. Her steps were steadier, her voice firmer, her vision clearer. People saw the difference. They felt it when she walked into a room. Even her siblings, brothers who used to tease her for being the soft-hearted one, looked at her now with a kind of reverence normally reserved for their mother. It wasn't that Naomi had hardened. No, she had simply discovered a deeper kind of strength. The strength that comes from surviving the very person you trusted most. Every scar became a roadmap. Every tear became fuel. Every betrayal became a reminder that loving someone does not mean surrendering your power. And now, Naomi had more power than she ever imagined. La Palmera was busier than ever. The renovations Naomi oversaw transformed the space into a breathtaking blend of tradition and modern elegance, something customers raved about on social media constantly. Critics wrote love letters disguised as reviews. Food bloggers took pictures of the dishes like they were museum pieces. Tourists from across the state added La Palmera to their must-visit lists. But what made Naomi proud wasn't the revenue or the press or even the fully booked reservations. It was the staff. They glowed. They thrived. They felt safe again. People who had worked under Devon without realizing the depth of his manipulation now openly thanked Naomi. "You brought the heart back," one server said. "You restored the soul," said the head chef. "This place feels like home again," whispered Esperanza, the elderly pastry cook who had worked there since Naomi was a child. Naomi didn't take the compliments lightly. She carried them like blessings. Every part of her wanted the restaurant to feel like her mother again. Warm, comforting, full of life. And she succeeded. But not everything was rosy in the aftermath. There were nights Naomi woke up from sleep, heart pounding, dreaming of forged documents and whispered phone calls. Sometimes she'd jolt awake at 3 a.m., terrified Devon was still at the restaurant, still plotting, still trying to take what wasn't his. Trauma has a way of living in the body long after the danger is gone. But therapy helped. Family helped. Time helped. Little by little, Naomi breathed easier. Then came the day she ran into Devon's mother. Naomi was buying flowers outside a small market when she heard someone call her name softly. Naomi. She turned and saw Evelyn Hayes, Devon's mother, standing behind her. Eyes tired. Posture slouched. Face aged from stress. Naomi inhaled slowly. "Mrs. Hayes," she said gently. The woman swallowed hard. Walked closer. I want to apologize," Evelyn whispered. Tears formed. "I didn't know what my son was doing. If I had known, Naomi, I swear." "You don't owe me an apology," Naomi cut in softly. "You didn't betray me." Evelyn broke down instantly. "I raised him better than this," she sobbed. "I don't understand how he became that man." Naomi placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We don't always get to choose who our children become," she said. "But what matters is that you didn't stand by his deception." Evelyn covered her mouth. "Thank you for saying that. I don't deserve it." Naomi sighed gently. "None of us deserve the hurt he caused. But all of us deserve the chance to heal." They hugged. Softly. Cautiously. With shared pain and shared relief. When they pulled apart, Evelyn wiped her eyes. "He asked to move back home," she said quietly. "But his father refused. He's staying with a coworker. He's not in a good place." Naomi nodded. "He made choices," she whispered. "And consequences follow choices." Evelyn nodded back, defeated but understanding. As Naomi walked away, she didn't feel triumph. Didn't feel vindictiveness. Didn't feel vengeance. She felt peace. Her chapter with Devon was closed. One crisp morning, 8 months after everything, Naomi stood on the balcony outside her mother's hospital room. Her mother was recovering beautifully now. Walking again. Cooking again. Giving orders again. And every time she tasted Naomi's new recipes, she cried quietly, whispering, "My daughter, you are not just continuing this legacy. You are elevating it." Naomi watched the sunrise spill gold over the city rooftops. For the first time in a long time, she asked herself, "What do I want now?" Not what Devon wanted. Not what the board wanted. Not what tradition demanded. What she wanted. A slow smile lifted her lips. She wanted joy. She wanted new beginnings. She wanted a future untouched by betrayal. And she knew, without question, that she was ready for that future. That evening, Naomi made a decision. The Rivera family owned the building beside La Palmera, an old warehouse her grandfather had purchased decades ago but never used. Naomi stood inside the dusty space, imagining possibilities. A bakery. A coffee house. A chef incubator. A culinary school for underprivileged youth. She felt her heartbeat quicken with excitement. A legacy wasn't just about preserving the past. It was about building the future. And Naomi was ready to build. As she walked through the warehouse, her mind racing with plans, ideas, recipes, and dreams, she whispered, "This next chapter is mine." A new wind blew through the cracked windows, stirring dust into sunlight. It felt like blessing. It felt like rebirth. It felt like the universe saying, "Finally." Naomi smiled, because she knew, without a doubt, that she had survived the fire, protected the legacy, and become the kind of woman her mother always believed she would be. Not broken, not bitter, not afraid, but powerful, rooted, and free. Late one evening, months after everything, Naomi locked up the restaurant and stepped into the courtyard where Devon once proposed. She inhaled the cool night air, listened to the soft wind rustling through the palm leaves, felt the peace settle in her bones. Then she whispered to herself, "I'm free." And for the first time since this story began, she truly was.